Srila Prabhupada liked disciples who would get things done. Of course, all disciples, he wanted to see how they were developing their devotion to Krishna. And of course yes. But beyond that, he also had special appreciation for devotees who would do things. Prabhupada had a mission to perform. And he trained his disciples especially to push forward the mission of Krishna consciousness. So His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami was prominent among Prabhupada's disciples in pushing forward the Krishna consciousness movement. About Rupa Goswami, it said, Sri Chaitanya Manabhistam Sthapitam. He established what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted. So similarly, Gopal Krishna Maharaj established in many ways what Prabhupada wanted. He established temples, he published books, he expanded the sampradaya of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he pushed forward the Krishna consciousness movement. This is the business of the acharya. He teaches by his instructions and by his personal example. And in this way, he represents to us the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Acharya mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karhichit namartya buddhi suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. The acharya should be regarded as non-different from Krishna himself. Not because he's Krishna, but kintu prabhuya priya evatasya, because he's very dear to Krishna. Very dear to Krishna means as good as Krishna, or better than Krishna. Krishna treats his devotees as being more important than himself. Krishna she tomar, Krishna dite para tomara shakatiyache. The devotee of Krishna, Krishna belongs to his devotees. So the devotee can distribute Krishna. Krishna she tomar, Krishna dite para tomara shakatiyache. The pure devotee has the power to distribute Krishna. And therefore he should not be seen as an ordinary human being. Ordinary human beings we judge according to material criteria, according to our material vision, our material point of view. But that's the material point of view. We have to see the acharya from the spiritual, with spiritual vision. With spiritual vision, we come to the higher platform of understanding, the platform of eternity, the platform of devotional service. Devotional service is performed on the platform of eternity, not on the temporary, mundane platform. When we see with material vision only, then we bind ourselves to the material platform. And when we see with spiritual vision, then we're on the spiritual platform. On the spiritual platform, the material platform, we see everything in relation to our sense gratification. In terms of our bodily identity and false ego. But on the spiritual platform, we see everything in relationship to Krishna. And that's the platform of reality. Krishna is the supreme reality. And seeing everything in relationship to Krishna means seeing on the real platform. On the real platform, the association of the pure devotee is eternal. That Prabhupada taught us so many times. The physical association is sometimes available and largely unavailable. But on the spiritual platform, the association of Krishna and the association of Krishna's devotee is eternally available by transcendental sound. That means the instructions of the spiritual master especially are to be remembered and followed. About Gopal Krishna Maharaj, I first met him in 1968, I think. It was when I joined. We joined not too much differently in time. As I recall, he joined in Montreal. He had studied at the Sorbonne in Paris, and then come to Canada, I believe, and in Montreal he became connected with our Krishna consciousness movement, connected with Srila Prabhupada. Back then there were no Indians in the Hare Krishna movement in the West, all white guys. So it was unusual. First of all, there weren't that many Indians in the West at all. And then in the Krishna consciousness movement, practically none. But Gopal Krishna Maharaj came forward and joined Srila Prabhupada early on. He was still young, not yet married. And he was also unusually for a Hare Krishna devotee then, he had a real job. He was working for, if I recall, the marketing department of Colgate-Palmolive Company and making decent money. And he married, and he was living across the street from our Hare Krishna temple in Brooklyn. Married life, he didn't last all that long. He moved on from that. But I remember one incident from those days that Prabhupada was leaving New York from Kennedy Airport on an evening flight, and we'd reserved a VIP room for Prabhupada. And all the devotees were crowded in that large, maybe something like this size, maybe, probably smaller. But everyone was crowded in and spending time with Prabhupada as he was waiting for his flight. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj came a little late and wearing his suit, and offered obeisances and apologized. Swamiji or Prabhupada, whichever it was back then. I just came from work, so I'm sorry. I came in my karmi clothes. And Prabhupada said, not karmi. He said, karma yogi. Anashrita karma palam karyam karma karotiya sa sannyasi triyogi cha na niragnir na chakriya. The person who's performing his prescribed duties without attachment to sense gratification, but simply for the satisfaction of Krishna, he's actually a sannyasi, he's actually a yogi. So Prabhupada had that exchange with Maharaj. Later, of course, he left married life, went to India and became a leader in Prabhupada's beginning fledgling movement in India. Things were just getting started. We didn't have all the great facility that we have now, all the gorgeous temples and so on. It was still in the pioneering stages. But Gopal Krishna Maharaj became one of Prabhupada's lieutenants, you can say, or generals. We won't pay too much attention to rank, but one of his leading right-hand men. Especially he took responsibility for publishing activities. Prabhupada, as you know, was considered publishing the basis of everything. And he was always keen to publish and distribute his books in different languages. So, in 1972, Prabhupada established the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust in India. He'd already, he established it in two places, actually, in Los Angeles and in India. Giriraj Maharaj, who was one of the trustees, explained that the actual trust was the Los Angeles Trust, but then he wanted to do things in India, so he established the Indian Trust also. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj was very active in those early publishing activities, and not only early, but throughout his life, he was dedicated to publishing in various languages. Hindi, of course, English books had to be distributed. He took a special interest in Urdu books for Pakistan, and of course, so many other Indian languages. Foreign languages, others took care of, but he especially focused on the languages of the Indian subcontinent. Nepali was also included. And he was the first book distributor in Moscow. Historically, the Soviet Union was closed to outside influences, especially outside religions. But we were able to gain a place at the Moscow Book Fair, and we introduced our books there. And from there, things got started. We brought a lot of books, and people got copies and started copying the copies. And I think you know, you've heard a lot about the history. But things got started really first, of course, when Prabhupada personally came to Moscow, and then at the Moscow Book Fair. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj was our sales representative, the official person at the Moscow Book Fair. And he was pushing book distribution throughout his entire career. the Gopal Krishna Maharaj was very competitive. That Prabhupada liked or encouraged our competition among his disciples. He would stoke it. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj was competitive. With whoever the leading competitors were, he was competitive. And he was especially, even when there was no competition, later, practically speaking, there were no competitors to India. Still there were competitors, Mayapur against Delhi and so on. And so often his zone would come out on top, and if not on top, then still distributing huge numbers of books. Because he was personally pushing it. There are many of us who have disciples, and we tell them distribute books. But Gopal Krishna Maharaj was really pushing it. He would go from temple to temple to temple to temple, pushing book distribution, because that's what Prabhupada wanted. And from that book distribution, everything grows. So, book distribution, and two sides, books and temples. You've seen that symbol of the Gaudiya Math. On the one side, they have the bell and the chamar, I think, for deity worship. And on the other side, the Bhagavatam and the press. So the deity worship is on the platform of the Pancharatriki Vidhi, the path of the rules and regulations for practicing devotional service. And the press and the Bhagavatam are on the side of the Bhagavad mark, spontaneous devotional service, or the path of just spreading Krishna consciousness. So Maharaj was on both sides, distributing books, pushing book distribution, publishing books, and on the other side, establishing temples. He was, I suppose the first big temple was the Santnagar temple in Delhi, the Glory of India project, very big temple project. And then so many others. In Delhi alone, I kept losing, every time I would go to Delhi, I would lose count of how many temples we had there. Whether it was, now it's 18. They just opened another one in Rohini some weeks ago. So 18 temples. Imagine what it would be like to have 18 temples in London. Yeah, right. Don't just imagine. So 18 temples, substantial temples in Delhi alone. And that's leaving aside other cities, Gurgaon and different places. So on that side also. And it's not an easy thing to establish a big temple. So much has to go into it. You need the people, you need the funds, you need the vision. Things go because of people. Things don't happen automatically. The Krishna consciousness movement doesn't just automatically spread. It spreads because of the devoted efforts of advanced devotees, especially. It extends, it expands because of devotees who are dedicated to the service of Krishna, dedicated to the service of the spiritual master, who make that service their life and soul, and who push it. It's not, it's because of that. It's because of everything traces back to a person. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj was such a person, spreading Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement like anything. And just in terms of some personal observations or some personal characteristics, he's my exemplar for avyarta kala tvam. Srila Rupa Goswami, there's so many devotees who show transcendental ecstasy. They roll on the ground, they put some chili in their eyes and cry like babies. They make a show of ecstasy. But Srila Rupa Goswami therefore gave more attention to practical symptoms of advancement in devotional service that reflected the deeper nature of ecstasy. And one of them is avyarta kala tvam. Kala means time, and avyarta, not wasted. So avyarta kala tvam is the quality of not wanting to waste even a moment of time. And I always saw that with Gopal Krishna. I cannot remember. I have no picture in my mind of Gopal Krishna Maharaj hanging out, of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, waiting around for something to happen, or being unengaged in some way, or in any other way, wasting time. He was always engaged. Always engaged. It's just phenomenal. Always engaged in some service. No, he had no time and he was busy. He was, I think, the chairman of the Indian Bureau at the time that he left, but at all times very active in the management of ISKCON affairs. He's in charge of, he was a member of the Vrindavan managing executive board. Member of the governing body commission, which is responsible for the whole world. So he had all of those kind of responsibilities. He had disciples who needed care and training and attention. He had big people to cultivate. He had lectures to give. He had book marathons. It's so many things to do. He had no time. The karmis have no time because they're always engaged in looking for money and sense gratification. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj had no time because he was always engaged in the service of Krishna. There was just no time. I never saw him waste even a moment. I remember I went to see him in the hospital one time some years back. He had some sort of difficulty. He was in hospital. They were giving him oxygen and all of that. Just lying in bed. And he's on the phone with Delhi or someplace. Giving directions, figuring things out. Not willing to waste time. And along with not wasting time, no time for prajalpa. And no interest in just loose talk. Not at all. Everything was purposeful. Everything was purposeful. And that means that the mind is fixed. Because if our mind isn't fixed, then our activities will be loose, our tongues will be loose. But when the mind is fixed, then the senses will be fixed. And fixed is not, we read in the 6th chapter of the yogi whose senses are fixed because he's looking at the tip of his nose and so on. But the advanced transcendentalist is fixed because he's always engaged in Krishna's service. His senses are always engaged. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. So, Right, there are others who will speak, but this is a glorious life, a life of complete dedication to Krishna, and a life of taking the lead in all aspects of serving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, serving the spiritual master, serving Krishna. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. And now ask Yadabara Prabhu to speak about Gopal Krishna Maharaj.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namare Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavadi Pacharade Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Praskatade Sanadane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for that wonderful talk. I don't know if I can say much more beyond that. So complete, so thorough, so wonderfully glorifying His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. We first met, actually, Gopal Krishna Maharaj and myself in 1973 in the Henry Street Temple. We were making our first film on the movement at that time, Hare Krishna people. We were living right next door to the president, and we can say his consort. There was some difficulty in the temple at that time. I remember one morning, Gopal Krishna Maharaj came to me, approached me after Mangal Arati, and took me outside in the dark, and he said, "Are you noticing any discrepancies in the behavior of the president and his lady friend next door to you?" We were working on our film, actually right next door to the president's office. And frankly speaking, I was so much absorbed in making the movie that I had no idea what was going on next door. Not following the principles, basically. I just remember he was very concerned with that kind of activity going on inside the temple. And from that I could understand that he was very concerned with Prabhupada's movement, that everything should go on very nicely. So I had some interaction with Maharaj also again in making the promotional movie for the Glory of India project, the big temple in Delhi. We made a few of those over the years for different projects. And I was just happy to be able to contribute to that. My wife Vishaka Devi and I worked on that. Whenever I was with him, he was always, as Maharaj said, he never wasted time. I never saw him idle or just, hanging, as Maharaj said, hanging out. Always absorbed in Prabhupada's seva. And then another time, actually, the Hare Krishna movie, the first country overseas where that film opened was Russia. We had an international sales agent, and they were managing the distribution overseas. But I remember Maharaj came to that. I was not there. Maharaj came to that opening and spoke some very nice words, was very appreciative of our efforts. So yes, a glorious life. And of course, we were all very much saddened by his leaving us. But that can happen to any of us at any time. Prabhupada so much emphasized that, I remember him speaking many, many times about so many different species of life we have to go through to come to the human form of life. In fact, at the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple, Prabhupada spoke some words from the deity mandap just after the arati ceremony. And this is exactly what he was talking about. So many different species of life. We finally come to the human form. And now we have the chance to become Krishna conscious. So this is an urgent business for all of us. Not to take birth again. Not to be on death row again. We're all on death row. It seems very not a happy subject to speak about, but actually it's a fact. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj was, as Maharaj said, very diligent in spreading Krishna consciousness, always thinking about how to preach, especially through Prabhupada's books. So we're very happy to have that time with him. We're very sad that he's gone, but also we know he's in a very glorious place. Well, thank you very much. Gopal Krishna Maharaj ki.
Thank you very much. Tribanganandana Prabhu can speak some words for us, please. And we have a limited time, so if you could please limit yours to about 5 minutes. From this point on, we'll try to have 5 minutes each. Thank you so much.
Om Jnana Timrandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshuram Malitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. I must admit that I didn't have the good fortune to spend any time practically at all with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. But from everything I've seen and heard and read about His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, I can understand that he was Prabhupada's man through and through, and that his interest was firmly fixed in trying to satisfy Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. And as we learn, Yasya Deve Para Bhakti Yata Deve Tata Guru Tasya Te Katita Hyata Prakashante Mahatmana, that only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Supreme Lord and the Spiritual Master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge factually revealed. So one can understand from the activities and life of Gopal Krishna Maharaj that he was certainly a great general in Srila Prabhupada's mission to push forward Krishna consciousness. And he was one of the, what you might say, early responders to the very difficult plight of everyone in this Kali Yuga. Because if we see Prabhupada's mission, it's full of compassion for all the unfortunate living entities in this material world. And Prabhupada clearly impressed upon Gopal Krishna Maharaj the urgency of the situation, that we have to somehow or other try to spread Krishna consciousness. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj clearly understood the value of not only pleasing Srila Prabhupada and dedicated his entire life from meeting Srila Prabhupada to actually trying to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desire. And particularly, he took up the baton of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and inspiring and motivating others to do this activity. And he opened so many temples, actually, to give people the chance to come and hear and understand about Krishna. Because, as we can see in India, people have become, to a great extent, very much westernized and forgetful of their actual need to be fully connected to Krishna and become more interested in following a degraded Western way of life. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he could understand that Srila Prabhupada's mission was not very successfully fulfilled in India at first. And he could also appreciate Prabhupada's efforts to come to the West and bring Western devotees to inspire the people of India to take up their own natural culture. So he ran with that, and once the seed of understanding that Krishna consciousness is meant for everyone, he was able to take on Prabhupada's energy and enthusiasm to push forward Krishna consciousness like anything in India. And as His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj pointed out, he certainly took on so many responsibilities. He was not, as you said, Maharaj, a time waster. He wanted to use every moment. And as one can see, I had the opportunity to read his last will and testament last night. And one can see that from his whole life, he was simply dedicated to pushing on Srila Prabhupada's mission to anyone and everyone, and encouraging everyone. Actually, he was a great source of encouragement for people, because by his practical example, he was always thinking how to give Krishna consciousness to others. And this book distribution is not a joke. It's actually the means by which people can understand about Krishna and understand their relationship with Krishna and come out of the darkness of ignorance and be able to see things clearly. These books are the connection with Srila Prabhupada, the transparent via media by which, just like if someone has a pair of glasses, they can see things clearly through the proper prescriptive spectacles. So actually he was very much a great stalwart, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to speak something of the praises of such a great devotee. Because factually speaking, sometimes we see events on the Vaishnava calendar about great devotees, but without really knowing much about these wonderful personalities. But if one takes the trouble to understand and appreciate and glorify these devotees for their factual transcendental glories, then one can actually pray for the mercy of these advanced souls and hope to become imbibed with the same spirit of Krishna consciousness and enthusiasm and eagerness to try to be reinstated and, as Prabhupada puts it, renovate our actual devotional service to Krishna. So I very much appreciate the opportunity to say some words in appreciation of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and hope that I can also become more inspired in my service to Srila Prabhupada and the devotees, and develop more actual compassion for the people of this world. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. I will have Karanadakshay Vishnu, Prabhu. Again, we're trying to have time for everyone, so if we could speak for 5 minutes, please.
Om Agyantimirannasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. I'd like to offer my humble obeisances to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, who was my very dear godbrother. I knew him maybe not as much as my father, because my father got to know him very early on in 1970, 71, before he was married. And they had a transcendental love-hate relationship for many years, which went on right to the very end. But Gopal Krishna Maharaj had a wonderful, wonderful relationship with our family. He came to our house in London, Bhagavad Bhavan, and he very much appreciated the deities which Srila Prabhupada installed in our house in London. And I remember one time I drove him from Chaitanya College to London, and he came to our house again, and it was 1982, just when things were being turned over here at the manor. But later on, Gopal Krishna Maharaj asked me to take charge of the Bombay temple, and my father was not very happy with that. So I stepped back. But then later on, after that, he encouraged me so much, Gopal Krishna Maharaj, in every way possible. He later on appointed me as the temple president in Lucknow. And I remember when he came to Lucknow, he was asking me, "Did you actually see the Prime Minister?" I said, "Yes, I did see the Prime Minister." I asked him to come to our first Rath Yatra in Lucknow. And I also asked him, the Prime Minister, if we could have a temple in Lucknow. And he said yes. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj was very pleased with that. And there's so many other things about Gopal Krishna Maharaj that I remember. And so it's very sad when a great Vaishnava leaves the planet. There's normally a little bit of chaos that goes on. But by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, everything is resolved. And I think Gopal Krishna Maharaj will always be in my heart. He was the one devotee that had so much confidence in me, although other devotees may not have said that so much about me. But because Gopal Krishna Maharaj really trusted me, and he wanted me to do a lot of things in India. And I think about Gopal Krishna Maharaj being in Russia, in Canada, in the US, but in India, he pushed book distribution, he pushed the temples, establishing 18 temples in Delhi, in Ludhiana, Kurukshetra and Bombay. And more than that, I think his greatest contribution is his stepping up to world leaders, and in particular Narendra Modi. And I think he put Narendra Modi on the map, and as a result of actually being on first names together with Narendra Modi, he's actually helped Narendra Modi establish Krishna consciousness all over the planet with other leaders who will follow in his footsteps. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So, Bibi Govinda Maharaj unfortunately could not be with us today. However, he recently gave a talk about Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and Shamapriya Devi Dasi heard that, so she will inform us of some of the points that he made at that time. Please. Oh, there.
Hare Krishna. This was an offering that Bhaktivedanta, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Govinda Goswami had actually read in Vrindavan, glorifying Guru Maharaj. So I just try to be very quick. It's a bit long. He said, I would like to begin by reading something which Srila Prabhupada has spoken. Srila Prabhupada said, why a few selected persons have come here? Because it requires a background of pious activities. Otherwise, it is not possible. We do not expect 100% of the people would become Krishna conscious. That is not possible. But if there is one ideal Krishna conscious person, he can do benefit to many thousands. Because if there is one moon in the sky, he can illuminate the whole sky, not these twinkling stars. It is not possible, and I sincerely feel in my heart, with my sincerity, that His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was such a Chandra, such a moon in the society of Vaishnavas. Dear devotees, we know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years ago. Kaviraj Goswami tells us that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here to give us all something very special. He was truly the Karuna avatar. He came here just to shower even the most unfortunate and disqualified people with his love, compassion, and his humanity. Lord Chaitanya, he did that to everyone. From his life, you can see people who were ordinarily disqualified, he made them acharyas of his movement. Lord Chaitanya gave that love and compassion to lifting the people's level of consciousness. Without that, all we have is the repetition of birth and death in this material life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also came because, as Krishna, he wanted to taste the divine love in the spiritual world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in Navadvipa, surrounded by his loving family, surrounded by loving devotees. But he saw that that was not enough. He left his family, his wife, his mother, and the society of Navadvip and began spreading Krishna consciousness throughout the length and breadth of India. Since then, all great saints who have come in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have carried on with this work. Kaviraj Goswami says that everybody who was born in the Bharat Bhumi has learned to perfect their lives to the practice of Krishna consciousness. And in that perfected state, they performed para upakar. They did the very best of welfare work by lifting them up and giving them love of God through the chanting of Harinam and Kirtan. We see that has been the history in our Sampradaya. All the acharyas who have come in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have done their level best in growing the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we have Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, who wanted to spread it all around the world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who established Gaudiya Math, and we have our Srila Prabhupada, who took the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so deeply that he spent his whole life in preparation to spread Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy in every village and town throughout the whole world. And the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, such as Gopal Krishna Maharaj, heard Prabhupada and they took his message to the heart, just like the rest of our generation. Gopal Krishna Maharaj had joined as a young man. I just met Maharaj in 1972 or 73 in Toronto Temple. He took his birth in a cultured Indian family, highly educated, very highly educated. He was untarnished by contaminations that was highly present around. And when Maharaj heard Srila Prabhupada in perhaps Montreal, he took that so deeply in his heart. He could see that Srila Prabhupada was requesting him to share the love and the compassion and humanity that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give this world. And because of that, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj has been one of the strong pillars of the society, at least for 5.5 decades. Recently, by the grace of Radheshyam, I had the opportunity to meet with Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in his room here in Vrindavan. And I was attempting with my weak words to glorify his accomplishments. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj had books translated into so many languages. He printed hundreds and millions of books. He inspired devotees here and devotees all around the world to distribute hundreds of millions of books. Not 100 or 1,000, but hundreds of millions of books. He built and inspired devotees to open the most glorious temples in ISKCON, celestial temples including the latest brilliant star in the galaxy, the ISKCON Rohini. When I mentioned this to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he very humbly put his head down and he said, "It wasn't just me, it was the team. The team did the work," he said. "I was just a small part. All credit goes to the team." And not only that, Srila Gopal Krishna Maharaj made thousands and thousands and thousands of devotees in the world. He brought them to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet so they could experience the great love that Mahaprabhu came to give through Sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada's standards of ISKCON was books printed, temples opened, and devotees made. No one in the society has done that like Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj, as we all know, was deeply wise and a compassionate navigator through the troubled waters of Kali Yuga. Maharaj was a person who fearlessly took Srila Prabhupada's books to the Soviet Union in the mid-1980s, when it was very stringent, Soviet Union's regime. As you all know, Sri Gopal Krishna Maharaj, how much he was loved here and how much he was loved in other parts of the world. But please, let me help you try to understand how much Gopal Krishna Maharaj is loved in Russia and in the Central Asia countries like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and so on. He personally pioneered Central Asia. He personally found the Dakshin and donations to build the first temples in Central Asia. The devotees in Central Asia, they love Gopal Krishna Maharaj more than their own lives. They loved Gopal Krishna Maharaj more than their own lives. I had the opportunity to serve in Central Asia for a number of years, and I can truly say that it was my great honor to serve and spread Krishna consciousness with Gopal Krishna Maharaj's disciples. I say that because with them there was never any of the Guru cliquism consciousness. There was never any mood of sectarianism. There was always a mood of loving, serving one another, and assisting to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. When I was mentioning this to Gopal Krishna Maharaj in his room, both of us became a little emotional. And he paused, and he put his head down with a very gentle and coy smile. He said, "There is another accomplishment." And I said, "What is that?" And he said, this year it will be 50 years on the GBC. And for devotees of ISKCON, how relevant the GBC is for you. We're always taught that GBC is the most relevant. Being on GBC is like living in hell. And he served without turning away for 50 years. Whenever I would meet Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he would repeat as if it is just his natural breathing. I am a servant of the servant. I am a servant. How can I serve your yatra? Please come and stay at this temple. Please come and stay in that temple. If there is anything I could do for you, your yatra, please let me know. So really, having spent about 5.5 decades in our ISKCON society, I can say that without any question and without any doubt that Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was truly a Vaishnava who embodied the love and compassion and the humanity, and that was shown to him by his spiritual master and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I never observed Maharaj quick to judge. I never observed Maharaj quick to dismiss an individual. He was always humane and very, very kind. And sadly, we are seeing different waves of ISKCON through the years and development of ISKCON throughout the years. And it seems that during this era, a small but very vocal minority in ISKCON, but they do not have the same mood of compassion and love. But Maharaj never faltered. He always stuck to his principles. He always stuck to his heart. And I would like to thank you all for being his disciples and serving so wonderfully. And I would like to thank you all for yesterday. Maharaj was talking about the Samadhi ceremony. Because yesterday there was such a massive overflowing of love and appreciation that it was like a medicinal tonic to my heart. It really made me feel the decency, love, compassion, care, kindness is there in the hearts of devotees. And that is because you have seen that in your spiritual master. Thank you very much. A devotee once told Srila Prabhupada that everyone loves you. Then Srila Prabhupada said, yes, I love everyone. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was the same. He was loved by everyone and he loved everyone. So in conclusion, I can say that Gopal Krishna Maharaj was cut from the same piece of cloth that Srila Prabhupada was cut from. What he accomplished in one lifetime, most of us could not accomplish in hundreds of lifetimes. And for all his disciples here, our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, I pray that Shri Shri Gauranathai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar will bless us all to have strength and remain focused and during the time of great separation of Guru Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada wrote in his dedication of the Srimad Bhagavatam to his Guru Maharaj, he lives forever by his words and the follower lives with him. So if you always live with the instructions of your Guru Maharaj will always be by your right side. So I thank you all. I have gone long, but it is not an everyday occasion. In fact, it is a very rare and a great occasion that you have an opportunity to glorify a pure devotee like Maharaj. And I pray to him, and I will pray to him, that he will bless me, that I, in some future life, that I may be a fraction, or I may do a fraction of the seva that Maharaj has done for Guru Maharaj, that is Srila Prabhupada, in this lifetime. Thank you all very much. Shri Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. This was from His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Goswami.
Thank you very much. If we could have Ajahn Govinda Prabhu speak to us.
Namo Shashambuddha Namo Shashambuddha Shvatisnamani Namasasasave Gaurani Vishayana Visheshanavati Vishatishayana. I think Guru Maharaj came in London in 2009, last time, and he stayed in His Grace Ramdas Babu's house. And we had the opportunity to meet him here also. So after that I was